This week on Dumb Pitches, my guest is Blake Burton. Yeah, producer Blake. He's here. He's got some bad ideas. He's been practicing for months listening to everyone else's bad ideas. It's fantastic. We got tire problems. We got some freestyle that gets caught by a teacher. And what was the last one? I don't even remember. Oh, the weed drink with his mom. He drank the whole thing. You're going to want to listen. Here we go. Dumb pitches.
What a bunch of dumb pitches. Oh my God.
Welcome to another episode of Dumb Pitches with Monica Nevi. I'm Monica Nevi, your host. This is a show where we talk to successful people about their worst ideas, and it's a very, very special episode this week because we finally get to hear from your favorite guy. Producer Blake is here. Blake Burton is our guest.
Hey, Monica.
Hey. Thanks for being here. Everybody is so interested in who's behind the scenes, so we finally had to bring you out so that they could see what they're listening to. Plus, you got plenty of experience with podcasting, obviously. So we had to, and you've had to sit here and listen to everyone's bad ideas, I feel like. So now you know what you're prepared to share with us. So we'll still start with your good ideas.
Okay.
So Blake Burton, our guest today, known as Producer Blake, if you've been listening since the beginning. You also have your own podcast.
Yes.
You did a podcast tour and you've interviewed over 200 people. You, I want to say, specialize in like music and stuff, so you know a ton about other forms of art besides comedy. The best form of art. No,
there we go.
Arguably not a form of art, but not to toot Third Wheel's horn, but produces his ass off. I mean, you help with a ton of different podcasts and stuff. So plenty experienced in this realm. And again, you've sat here and listened to so many weird, crazy, different bad ideas, which I'm sure
I enjoy that.
Yeah, and you've shared, if you don't know some of like the episodes where I do my bad ideas or some of the behind the scenes episodes, you have kind of shared some of your own with us. So now it's official. We get to hear from you what your bad ideas are.
There we go.
What did you think of?
I'm going to start with like one of my introductions to into radio.
Okay.
So at my high school I went to, there was a radio program, and that's how I got like into radio and all that. And halfway through the school year, Old Town Road came out. So like halfway through, right?
If that doesn't make you feel old, yes. Like we celebrated your birthday to legally be able to drink, what, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
So Blake's young, you guys, anyways.
Am I a man now or a young man still? What is it?
I mean, I think you're definitely still a young man, but that is up to interpretation. Maybe you're a man when you can rent a car.
Oh, shit. Damn, I got some ways to go then. So Old Town Road came out. I had a radio show at the high school called Hottest Hip Hop News and Sneaker Talk. And then that came into the NAS podcast because it just took off the H's. And so I just had a co-host named Tynan, and he went by Smooth Tynan. And I went by DJ Blake.
So you graduated from DJ Blake to Producer Blake?
Yeah, there we go. And we would just talk about the latest news going on. Most of the time it was like Kanye West and Kim Kardashian
we
drama.
only talked about Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. And I mean, you'd still be in the right area if you were doing it now.
And then a lot of sneakers. So Tynan didn't know that much about sneakers, but I'd be like, oh, these new shoes dropping. And then we had a lot of spare time.
You're like, after that?
So we decided to start doing like freestyles at the radio station, and we didn't realize it was like school property. So we like saved the files on the school computers, and the radio teacher stumbled across one of our freestyles, and it was an Old Town Road remix. And it was literally just like us pretending to be like Hicks talking about like incest and stuff.
Oh,
and we were like, we like pickup trucks and sleeping with our cousins. Old Town Road.
That was good. What's the Will Ferrell character? Robert Goulet. That's what it sounded like. You're like, shabab, Old Town Road.
Yes. And we forgot that we saved it. And then the teacher came in one day and was like looking through the files, and he stumbled across, because we titled it too, Blake and Tynan Freestyle.
I would open it too if I was him. I'd be like, oh, what are these dummies doing?
And then he listened to it and he was like, what the fuck? And he pulled us aside and to tell us not to do that.
Were you like, what'd you think of it?
He was like, it was clever, but he listened to the whole thing too, because at the end we started talking about the cousin thing, and he was like, you shouldn't be talking about cousins like that. I was like,
what was this teacher like? Was he like an older guy? Or
yeah, his name's Joe. What, is it Joe? Yeah, Joe. Yeah, I was gonna
DJ Joe. Teacher Joe.
Joe Bryant. He was actually in radio in Seattle.
Oh, really?
And then he's an older guy now, so he's kind of well known in like the radio industry in Seattle. He had a show. Do you know who Bob Rivers is by any chance?
Yeah, Andrew was in here the other day. That's his dad.
Oh shit! Yeah, really?
Yeah, you met him. Yeah.
That was his. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. My dad used to listen to Bob Rivers all the time, and then Andrew and I mean, he did stand up a little bit before me, but we met, and I was like, yeah, that's Bob Rivers' son. So yeah, you met him as well. But
wow, I didn't even put that. I guess there's not a lot of rivers out there, so. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of rivers in Washington, I guess. But anyways, he had a show with Bob Rivers. He was like, there's like 3 people, and maybe I think one of them name was like Spike or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there we go. So
yeah, they have a band called Spike and the Impalers where they do fake parody songs kind of thing.
I love those type of things.
Yeah.
Like Tenacious
So
D.
he probably, I mean, he would have known, like,
yeah.
So he's like, maybe this is good, That's funny.
Yeah, and he's the one who kind of pushed me, and he told me to create a podcast before I even wanted to do a podcast, because he was really ahead of his. Podcasts have been around for a while, but like he was telling like the radio class, like, this is radio.
Radio's dead.
But, yeah. And he's like, so with these radio shows you're putting on to like the school radio, you should download those files and upload it to SoundCloud or something, so it's like a podcast. And that kind of stuck in my head a little bit. And
that's smart, because even now, like radio shows that are still doing it, they'll be like, then after the show you can listen to our podcast. Like they're still doing a podcast too. So that's funny. And then was he like, here, take your freestyle for something else?
It's I have it. There was like a picture of us doing it also. So like every year I'll get like a memory of the picture of me, like, oh shit. So I resend it to Tynan every year. It's because it's saved to my Google Drive at this point.
So how old were you at that time?
I
17?
was 18.
18. Okay, so
I'm a
this is
young
like
man.
senior
I guess.
year.
I guess I am a young man.
Yeah, like this is only 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, that's hilarious. Well, so I'm interested in the radio show too. Like, did people listen to it? Like, how long was it? Was it every day? Like,
it was, I think, every Tuesday and Thursday at 89.9.
Nice.
And it did pretty well. We don't know how many people listened, honestly.
Right.
But it was a really funny show, and I think it helped me start wanting to do podcasts, of course, but like it got me out of my shell.
Yeah.
And I was like, we had so much extra time that we'd start doing like weird voiceovers and stuff and just throw that on the air and didn't really care who'd listen.
That's so funny, because like when you're younger, either I think you're like whatever extreme of what you like, because like I'm fairly introverted, I'm really shy, and as a kid it was like painful, like it was like I was really quiet. And then there's other people who are like so extroverted and loud that they're like, that's all they are all the time, is just like on all the time. It was amplified. So we had like a morning show, like I took like a media class in like 7th grade.
Yeah.
And we had like the morning announcements show kind of thing or whatever. And eventually like you had to do it. And I hated it. Like I don't like reading out loud in front, like
do you stutter?
Kind of, yeah, or like mess it up. Like I think it's like a head thing. I'm not that bad of a reader, but I'm not like confident enough. But I also like didn't like to be in front of people and stuff. And now I wish like I had maybe like radio and stuff would have been easier, because you're not in front of people.
I'm a total it has to be something I know there's like no backlash with, Like if there's gonna be no backlash, I'm 100% like fuck it. I'll just be goofy. But if it's something like, if my friends ask me to be like, let's raid Area 51, you know, like I don't know if I would do that.
Okay.
You know,
You're
'cause,
like, this seems divisive.
yeah,
there wasn't much. It was just like the morning announcement kind of thing. And then we had some weird, like, little clips or whatever. But most of it was like, we like make videos and stuff.
Mhm.
And I remember being irritated with what some of the more extroverted people thought was funny because I didn't really think that it was.
You're just in the corner. That's not funny.
Yeah. Well, like every time there was these girls, and it was funny because when we were like in third or fourth grade, I used to fight this girl at recess like every day.
Okay.
And she was in this class, and by then we like tolerated each other, but I never really liked her, you know.
Yeah.
Still don't.
Oh.
No. And her and this other girl thought it was like the funniest thing at the end of every video to say, remember Taco Bell is open late, which is just like a fact, I guess, or what, you know, it's like just what on their commercial. And I was like, it irritated me because I was like, I mean, at least make something up on your own, you know, or whatever. And they thought it was like the funniest thing. I was just disappointed in their creativity.
Do you still like run into people that you went to like high school with? And
not as much anymore. I am still friends with a handful of people, but for the most part, sometimes random people will come to shows that I like haven't even seen or talked to in like a long time, which is nice. But then you're like, I still have this idea of you from high school or whatever, middle school, and either it's like, like what am I supposed to say? Like, did you ever get that tattoo you kept talking about, or you kept drawing on your test, you know, whatever? But like, what do you talk about at that point? Besides, I guess, what are you doing now? How are you? I heard you went to jail. How did that go?
Oh, you know people went to jail?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I don't know if it was. Anyways, I'm from Renton. I don't know if it was that common, but there was like quite a few people that had, like drug problems, just like meth and stuff.
That's fine. I just watched this. I love my YouTube feed because I get just sent the most weirdest things now because I just go through all these.
Yeah, I was gonna say you've watched weird enough stuff.
Yeah. So today, something on my YouTube that showed up was like a Vice.
Yeah.
So there was like this Vice interview of this guy who got arrested. So basically the setting is he's this older guy. He might have been a preacher. He seemed like a preacher. I don't know if he was, but like he was talking about like all the good deeds he would do. Like he'd give out Bibles to homeless people. He was just like a good guy.
Right.
And he every other Friday. See, I was really zoned in on this. Every other Friday,
He got all the info.
he'd go to Krispy Kreme's to get a glazed donut because he loved donuts. And he's like, I know if I went every day, I'd be just super fat because I just love these donuts so much. So I only get a Krispy Kreme glazed donut, this most simple one, just so it feeds my appetite a little bit. And one day I was driving home, and I ate a donut, and the crumbs got over me, and then like fell on the side of the seat, on the passenger seat, on the floor a little bit. It was just a mess. Okay, and out of nowhere he gets pulled over like the next day, and he hadn't cleaned up the Krispy Kreme stuff. And these cops were like, "You're going 41 and a 30." Like I literally 41 and a 30.
Like, look it up. It's exactly this.
And he's like, "Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't realize I was speeding." They're like, "Can we check your car?" And he's like, "If you don't give me a ticket, sure. I have nothing to hide." So they pulled him over, checked his car, and they're like, "We found methamphetamines in your car." And it was the fucking glazed donut, and they were just setting him up.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it for sure was the glazed donut? It
yeah.
wasn't like
he was a good guy. Yeah. They literally just like set him up because they were like doing a stakeout and they just thought he was suspicious and they needed to.
Ah, what a weird.
Yeah. And I was like, meth, donuts. You were just talking about. So a lot of things reconnect. Yeah. So.
All right. So, I mean, I'm sure everybody wants to hear this freestyle, but we might have to be an exclusive release.
That's on YouTube memberships.
You know what's going on. All right. Did you have other ones?
Yeah. This one, back to like the drug related, not bad drug. Well,
perfect. Here we go. It's a transition.
Yeah.
From the preacher donut guy.
So over the pandemic, I stayed home for 5 months straight. That was a long time for me.
For sure.
And I think I got a little bit of COVID PTSD from that.
Okay.
Like getting, like, going back in public. But during the heat of the staying home and the quarantine, my family admitted that they like smoke weed every once in a while.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I never knew that. They're like, how else do you think we just stayed
We're
so
just
happy?
so chill all the time.
Yeah. So then me and my mom decided to try those, like, you know those like weed drinks? There's like weed drinks.
Yeah.
And there's like levels on them. And I feel like it's so cool because I'm 21, so now I could just talk. I felt like before I couldn't talk about like weed stuff until I was 21. It might have been like a
very nice
mental
of you,
thing.
but yeah.
You know. So we both got like these like weed drinks that had like levels on them, like milligrams.
Mhm.
So you knew how much to drink. Like it was like 10 to 100, and we didn't know there was those lines on them. So me and my mom at the same time chugged 100 milligram like weed drinks, and we're like, let's meet up in 10 minutes or 20 minutes once we start to feel it. And then we both are like in our bedrooms both dying. Like we both greened out.
Oh my
And it was
God.
terrible. And one of the bad ideas besides that was I had a jalapeno bagel before I chugged that. So it was a terrible experience.
That's too much. That's too. I've seen that happen before, actually, which I don't know if they need to like write it bigger on the bottle, but I've seen people be like, oh, I got this weed drink, and then drink the whole thing, and you're
Yeah.
like, that's 100 milligrams of THC.
And
Like,
now I
you're gonna-
can't drink. It's like, you know when you like
You're just
drink
afraid of it now.
Yeah, you know when you like have a bad experience with something and even the smell or like looking at
Yeah,
something
everybody,
I
like
can't.
whatever alcohol that you like
Yeah.
threw up with the first time, you're like, I can never have it again.
That's
kind of thing.
Bacardi for me.
Oh.
Even Bacardi's not even a good drink.
Tequila, I
anyways.
can't, like, if I smell it, it's just not-
Really?
yeah. I feel like a lot of people have Bacardi as that way. Maybe it's just
Yeah.
popular.
I
when-
mixed
yeah.
it though. I had the dark one and the clear one. Yeah.
You just mixed them together?
I
Did
drink
you-
them separately, but I didn't know you're not supposed to mix colors. That might be a myth, but I heard you're not supposed to mix colors.
I think there's a lot of myths or a lot of like, don't do this when it's like you're just gonna drink too much anyways. That's the problem. It's not like the like liquor before beer or whatever. Like all that is like, well, yeah, if you have 10, it's not gonna make a difference what fucking order you did it in.
But I greened out to the point that like I felt like I was like in a simulation. Like I was thinking about my movements like 10 seconds before they would happen. I'd be like, oh shit.
Man, I've had where like I was too high. This was before it was legal, so you know, we like went through a period of time where like I was making brownies a lot, and a friend of mine was making cookies all the time, and his cookies were like just really strong. So I'd take like one bite, but when you make an edible like that where you made it, it's like each bite is fucking different, you know? Like it's not, I don't know. So I used to, and I have jokes about this so people know this, but I used to eat a cookie before, or like take a bite before I would have to work at this trampoline place that I worked at because I fucking hated it.
Yeah.
And then like sometimes I was just more high than I should have been. And then I was driving home one time from there and I was like, oh fuck, I'm still high. And then I felt like my hands were not connected to my body. Like I could see them on the steering wheel and I would think about what I was doing, but like I didn't feel like I was doing it, you know what I mean?
Oh god.
And so I'm just trying, the drive from there to my apartment was like 12 minutes, but I was still just like I was definitely one of those people, I'm sure you've heard, or maybe you've driven high, I don't know, but where you just like are going slow because you're like, I feel like I'm going so fast, but you're just not. Like I'm probably like staring at my hands, like driving fucking 45 on the freeway because it's just like, terrible.
That must have been terrible. Oh god, I can't even.
It's yeah, that's kind of like my thing. I don't know why, but that's like a thing that would happen when I would get too high. I would feel like my extremities were like I could see them and move them, but it didn't feel like there was anything in between me and my foot.
It's like phantom limb syndrome. Kinda.
Right? Yeah, like when you lose a leg and you're like,
Yeah, that's one of my
it
favorite
itches down here,
syndromes.
but you don't actually
Oh,
have
that's
it.
so sad.
Isn't that
Oh
weird?
my god.
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, 100 milligrams. I don't think I've ever. Well, I don't know for sure because again, back then, you don't know what's in everything. But
Want to try it later? Just chug
I
it.
think the most I had was 50. And like they had these things called Chiba Chews, which were like
Chews.
yeah, it was when medical was legal but not recreational yet. And I just took the whole thing and then I just like fell asleep for like 8 hours in a car though. Like, we were
Oh.
like driving to Montana and I was just
Did he dream at all? Do you know?
not that I remember, but I would wake up periodically and I think just be like, I'm too fucking high, and then I have to just go back to sleep because I didn't want to like have to deal with it.
Dude, weed is weird because like you feel it like right away, unless it's an edible.
Right.
Like you're like, I don't know how. Like I could, if I just hit one hit, I'm good.
Right. And I think like now I've started to like go back to weed because for a while it was making me anxious and stuff. So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna
Oh, yeah.
drink too much. So now I'm going back, but that's the thing. I just like, have a pre-roll, have like 2 hits, and then I'm like, my
Yeah.
dad used to do that all the time. He still
Oh.
does. Well, he'll like just take a hit, and I'll be like, what? Like when I was younger, I was like, what? You're supposed to smoke like a whole bowl, you know? Like, what are you doing? But
you
now
smoke
I'm
with your
like,
dad
oh.
ever?
Yeah, we have before.
Oh, wow.
It was the best. Well, I like
It was the best.
found his weed one time, and then we like kind of talked about it, but then
The
we
weed
just
talk.
yeah, we just had one time we both had been drinking, and we're just like, what was your favorite drug? And like just went through like a list of all the drugs we had done.
Wow.
Which I think by that point I was old enough where I was like, I'm good on, anything crazy. I'm not gonna I've experienced what I'm going to, and that's fine. But I remember maybe the first time we had like kind of talked about it was Christmas Eve. The next time, and it was just me and him, and we always go over to my grandma's house the night before, and he was like, all right, I'm gonna go take a toke, which is what he still says. I'm gonna go take a toke, and then we'll go. And I was like, okay. And I was like sitting there, and he looks at me and he goes, you don't want to come? And I was like, oh yeah. And so then we like smoked together before we went to my grandma's house, and it was like, he's a chill dude. He's a good guy anyways, but now as an adult, you're like, I think he was high like all the time.
Does he look like a
just
hippie at all?
Moderately. Not really. He used to have long hair when in like, the 70s and stuff, but no, he's just like a
Dad.
but he's like, it's hard to explain. Like his friends who are not much like him would describe him as having an inner peace, and I was like, yeah, you're a stoner. That's what it is. Like that's what. But both my parents are kind of hippies. My cousin, when he was little, he called my mom a hippie, and he was like, but you're a good hippie. And I was like, I don't know what that means. Like I don't know what a bad hippie is, but
I think most hippies are peaceful, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that term has maybe changed based on what it meant in like the 70s.
Yeah.
Kind of, but
You can't be like an anarchist hippie, though. Maybe?
I think people in Seattle are working on it, but yeah.
That's actually, you're right about that.
Well, there's certain things that I associated with, hippies that,
Oh, I guess they protest, right? And like,
sure,
hey,
protest.
man.
Yeah, that's a pretty common hippies then, and hippies now are very into protesting.
Yeah.
I feel like it's skewing on like anti-vax.
Hippies?
Yeah, sometimes now,
Mm.
which you're like, it's confusing because you're like, really conservative people often are against the vaccine just in general. I don't know what their reasoning always is. I think it's for a government reason,
Yeah.
but then hippies can be anti-vax because they believe in like the earth should be able to do things, which to
The
each
Earth's
their
gonna
own.
fuck
That's
you
great.
up.
But then now they're like starting to cross a little bit, and they technically hate each other. Like it's very confusing times.
It is.
Yeah, like everyone's got so divided. It's coming back to
my friends are like, some of them, most of my friends are vaccinated, but some of them who are like not vaccinated or are vaccinated are still like really conspiratorial about the vaccine. So I'll just like,
even though they're like, I got a microchip in me right now.
yeah. So I just have a weird imagination. I'll just spit out the most random stuff and just see if it eggs them on, and they'll be like, dude, you're probably right. I'm like,
You're
yeah.
like, I had a whole weed drink. I don't know what I'm fucking saying.
Exactly. So I have another one. I have another car.
Okay.
Related to the car thing with your hands.
Look at us. We're going.
Yeah.
Just
So on my podcast tour, have you been on the PCH before?
Mhm.
So I think does it start in Washington or Canada? It's really long.
I think it starts in Washington, kind of in the middle on the coast,
Okay.
because you can't go.
I can't take the PCH to Canada.
Right.
So it starts from Canada.
It's also a highway, which means it's. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. So it starts from Washington, we'll say, and ends in California, I think. Maybe farther, for people who haven't been on it. But it adds like an extra like 3 hours to your trip. But it's very beautiful. Like you're driving through the clouds, basically.
Yeah, you're right on the water most of the time.
Yeah. So I drove to LA for my podcast tour, which was like an 18-hour drive.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took the PCH back, and then I heard about, like, my friend was drove with me, and they were like on Yelp to find like cool places we could stop. And there's like this, it's like it's a public beach, but like it's unmarked because they don't want tons of people to go there. But it's like natural purple sand.
Whoa.
Yeah, on the PCH. It's like, I
Oh.
think it's in It's
Broke
right
it.
before you get to Yeah, it's in California on the PCH. And so it's like an unmarked road, like off, like just like it's like a turn on the PCH. And they don't pave it or anything because they don't want people to go there. It's like very secret. If you know, you know type thing. So there's like tons of potholes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's super skinny road. It's about like, it's literally like a 4-mile like drive down this road. And at the very end, there's like a ticket booth because they still charge you to go down there, but it's never really packed.
Interesting.
So it's weird. Like I feel like that'd be like one of the most chill jobs. You're just
I was
like,
just gonna say, I'd be like, I could work at that ticket booth.
yeah.
You're like the 3 people that found it today, charged them $50 each.
Yes. So I'm like literally like 5 minutes out from the very bottom, right? And I saw there was actually a Prius in front of me, and I saw this Prius do this like thing to like avoid a pothole where it turned its wheel and then turned back straight. It's a Prius, though, so Prius is kind of a smaller car.
Right.
My car is not huge.
What do you drive?
It's just a Ford Fusion, but it's like a bigger body than a Prius. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to copy that because I don't want to go into that pothole and go bump.
Yeah.
So I try to copy it, and I go, wah, wah, and my car hits the side, like, because it's like a ravine, a road, potholes, and then fucking like
cliff.
like a side of a cliff.
Yeah.
And I turn, and this fucking jagged rock like pops my tire on this pothole road. Like it's like a tennis ball size hole. Like it's just like the tire, like the fucking rubber's just gone. It's a huge hole. So
Dang.
it's
Okay.
like, so I have 3 tires left, and I still have to drive down this because so I get to the very bottom, and I change my tire, and then my Airbnb though was in San Francisco, which is like 270 miles away. And we're on the PCH, and there's no fucking like towns like along the coast at all. So I drive 100 miles to get to the closest town. I forget what it was called. It's like some bougie old coastal town, and get there. It's on a Sunday though, so like everything's closed.
Everything's closed because it's fucking old coast people, which that's what I would like to be as an old person, is live somewhere on the northern coasts.
Just worry about the tsunamis.
Right. And and just ride my bike everywhere because I got too many DUIs.
You bike?
No, but not yet.
Not yet. And so I drive to the town, and they're like, oh, sorry, like we're closed, like no one could help us. So we have to continue driving to San Francisco.
On this extra tire or whatever.
Yeah. So we already put the money down for the Airbnb too. And so on a spare tire, it says you're only supposed to go like 50 to 70 miles on it.
Mm-hmm.
And 50 to 70 miles is like how far you're supposed to go. And you can only go around like 50 miles per hour. So it doesn't like, because if it'll heat up, you know? And the speed limit in California is like 70 miles per hour. So I have to drive to San Francisco on a spare tire, 50 miles per hour, for 2.5 hours.
Did you make it?
I made it.
On the same tire?
Yeah. But I still have that tire in my trunk. I should probably replace it. It's like, I don't think
That's the same spare tire?
I don't think I can use that anymore.
It's definitely been used.
But anytime when I was using it, anytime I try to speed up a little, like I literally like smell burning rubber. So like it was terrible.
Oh God, that sounds terrible.
It was the worst drive.
Oh man. And did you go to the beach
No,
after all this? Like
no.
You got down there and just dealt with the tire, didn't even like. Oh my God.
And then you had to go over the potholes again.
I was gonna say
up.
that you got on the way back up on the spare tire. To me, it sounds like it's the Prius's fault, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't like I personally, sorry if anyone listens, a Prius driver, but I personally don't like Prius drivers. They're terrible drivers.
The actual driver. Well,
in my opinion,
they seem to have gotten down to the bottom with 4 tires.
You know what? You're right about that. But I'll never forget that was an eternity of driving. I was like,
yeah, it fucking sounds like it.
And we were supposed to spend like a couple extra days in San Francisco, and in the morning, took it to Les Schwab and got my tire fixed. And I was like, you know what? We're just driving back.
I'm just gonna leave now.
Yeah. So I drove the next day. Instead of taking an extra 2 days to get home, I drove
Just drove
13
straight.
hours straight.
Yeah. I used to do that drive from LA to Seattle like all the time
Really?
without stopping. It was
Like
yeah.
18 hours?
Yeah. One time I left, I did a show in Santa Monica that started at midnight. I got done at like 1:30 and then just left from there and I went all the way to Bellingham and got there at like 8 p.m. It
Holy
was-
shit.
Yeah. It was fucking
Did you have Red Bulls or something?
maybe at that time.
At that time.
I don't know. Now I don't drink any like caffeine or anything.
You don't
but-
drink caffeine?
I mean, I have tea, but I can't drink coffee. I don't drink coffee, and I definitely don't drink energy drinks.
Ah,
But not because like
energy drinks
drink
sucks,
all the
though.
drinks you want. I don't care. I just know personally, I've had panic attacks from like too many coffees, and it was like really bad. So I was like, I'm just not going to do that anymore.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But I think maybe at that time I was still drinking stuff. I couldn't do that now. I mean, I had like a 7-hour drive the other day, and one of my hips hurt so fucking bad that I was like, well, I can't do that anymore. I know.
I'm old.
But yeah, when I lived in LA, I probably did that drive straight at least 8 times.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was dumb, but
Did you ever do it alone?
I did it every time alone.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I used to drive. There was a lot of like come to Jesus type moments in the
bet.
car, you know, because I would like listen to stuff, listen to music, some podcasts, and then eventually I'd be like, I just need to be quiet for a little bit, and then you just like think so. There's like periods of that trip where I'm like, I don't even know how I got here. I wasn't paying attention like
Oh,
that whole time.
You're just thinking about life.
Yeah. I never had anything. I never got a ticket. I never even got pulled over. And then I've never had like the tire thing or anything on those trips. One time my fuel pump blew coming back from Phoenix to LA.
Mm.
And then I had to be towed from San Bernardino to the valley, which was like
Probably hella
it was
expensive.
like an hour and a half, but it was
Oh,
like
God.
in the distance of my AAA, like it. And I think the tow truck guy was like, well, I can just take you over there. I can just take it to your house because it's for free still. And you're like,
Oh.
it was like 50 miles or whatever was like how far I could go. And I think he just didn't want to do anything for the rest of the day. So he was like, I'll just drive you there and back. And then he'll be like off, you know?
Damn.
So I had to like hang out with this fucking tow truck driver guy. Oh man, I actually wrote a blog about it at the time, but
You had a blog?
well, yeah, on my website. I like once a week would just write something.
Wow.
Yeah.
There we go. We got a
It's like
blogger
the
over here.
most spammed blog that I have though, because it like mentions AAA and stuff. So I think people search AAA and it like comes up. Oh wow. It was just I don't know why it was so funny to me, but this guy was on the side of the road and he did have like long hair and stuff, and he was like, hey, he looks like that guy from that stoner movie. You know that stoner movie, Ching Chang Chong? And I was like, Cheech and Chong? That's Ching Chang Chong? That's not what that's fucking called. Like, I was laughing so hard, but didn't want like correct him. You know, I was like, yeah, he does kind of look like that guy. I didn't want to like talk to this guy forever, you know? Oh, God, it was.
Was he a cool guy though? Did
He was
ever-
actually pretty nice. Well, and that's the thing. It's like, you hear horror stories about stuff like that. I'm like, this dude could murder me. I don't know.
Oh, true.
It was during the
That's
day though, so that helped. It was light at least. Or he could just be like normal dude doing his job, which is what it seemed like was the
Yeah.
situation. But yeah, I was like nervous about it, and of course, like telling everybody, was like, this is what's happening if I don't show up. Like I've been murdered by
good. Oh
this
yeah, there is a thing
AAA
about that.
driver. But
I did a serial killer episode for my second podcast, and I guess there are truck drivers that just kill people.
cool. Thanks. Yeah, you made it out. I mean, maybe I've heard stories about people getting in Ted Bundy's car and like getting out.
Oh.
And so then they see him on the news, you know, later, and they're like, oh, fuck, I was in the car with that guy. So maybe
Don't you feel a little
he
like,
could still be a serial killer. He just didn't kill me.
aren't you just a little offended though? Like if Ted Bundy just lets you out, like what? Am I
I've
not good
heard-
enough to kill?
We met a lady once where her story was that she did, like it was snowing in Seattle, which it very rarely does. She got in the car with him, and he immediately was like, she took her hat off, and he was like, oh, you have short hair. And she's like, yeah, I just cut it. And he was like, you shouldn't have cut it.
Get the fuck out.
He apparently, women with long hair was like a thing for him. And so that was kind of it, was like he didn't like tell it. She was like, he was being weird. And then he like started like looking for something under his seat. And so she was like trying to get out, and there was no handle on the inside of the door.
Oh, is this the lady who jumped out the window?
No, but he was like getting mad at her and whatever. And then finally he let her out. And then it was like 2 or 3 weeks later that it was like all over the news and stuff. And she was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
There's like some old lady, you know, smoking cigarettes in the back of the bar when my dad was playing in a band.
Your dad had a band too. Okay.
He still has a band, but yeah.
Oh, he still has a band?
Yeah, they don't play very often anymore, but you know, classic rock cover band. He's a bass
Okay.
player. My uncle's the drummer.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But do you know who was that actress that jumped out the window?
Oh, I don't know.
There's this actress that had, I forget her name.
We're just learning so much about
Yeah.
about so much today.
I like tow truck drivers though. I've had a few tow truck experiences and they're really nice guys.
I feel like because certain things, like, yeah, you're like, oh, there's like a truck driver killer or whatever.
Yeah.
Then if you weren't that, you'd be like, I just got to be a super nice, cool guy and do my job, and because I don't want to be everybody to think I'm a weirdo.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let me see. I think I have like one more.
Okay.
I wrote a whole list, but I'm also just a clumsy guy, you know? So like I feel like I have a lot of stuff that's just clumsy. Oh, I could just talk. This is just a short one.
Okay.
But
I'll end
like
with this one.
I do a lot of like promo videos for my podcast, and I've had a few that I've had to actually take down because I'm it's all for like comedy purposes, you know. So especially but when you're dealing with like hip hop artists, sometimes they get offended.
Oh.
So I my last guest, Greg, I made a promo video a couple months ago when he was first on the podcast about it's everything he said. So I didn't really take this one out of context.
I was gonna say, I guess
but
I was gonna say, how do you mess it up? But it can be taken out of context where it sounds
purpose.
weird.
It's for joke purposes.
Well,
so.
that, but then also when you hear something, you're like, how did that even start? You know, like I
Yeah.
want to go listen to the episode because I need to figure out how they got to this. you
Yeah, that's what I like to do. And he has a thing against Macklemore. So we had this whole thing where I put the promo video was just him like just talking shit
shitting
about
on Macklemore.
Yeah. And then I posted it on Reddit because Macklemore is a big name, and then like
Right.
I was like, and it got a lot of views. So a lot of people checked out the interview after that, and I was like, dude, just don't go on Reddit though. So he came back on the podcast the other day, and he's like, I went on Reddit.
Oh no.
And these people weren't trashing Macklemore, they were trashing him.
Yeah, I
So
feel like
I've
Reddit's a scary place, to be honest.
So I've realized that for some promo videos, especially if it's hip hop artists, they're kind of ego driven a little bit, and I gotta
Yeah.
be careful on that. But so I've had some bad ideas with some of the promo videos.
I mean, that's a tough one because you go, okay, well, that is gonna work like promotionally
Yeah.
for people to be like, oh shit, they're talking shit about Macklemore. I gotta see what this is about. Even if you're a big Macklemore fan, or
Yeah.
the opposite, you're like, I want to hear this. But then I guess, but that's the
Internet, man.
problem with podcasting and podcasts as a guest is being like, I've said way too much shit on podcasts. Like, I don't think anything that would like get me canceled or fired or anything.
Shane
But
Gillis
people
type.
know, people know like too much about me and probably people in my life because of me doing podcasts.
Do you think about, because like we're podcasters, that we'll be like the first type of people that can get like, you know, what is it called, like deep fakes? Like I feel like there's so much like of our like voices out there that they could easily just
Yeah.
recreate our voices.
But then could you
Deepfake.
easily be like, well, that's not me. Yeah, it's hard to.
Like at this point, like if we were cryogenically frozen or lost our voice, or like, you know, like the what's his name, Stephen Hawking.
Oh yeah.
Like they had like enough of his voice so they could have recreated his voice so he sounded normal, but he wanted to sound like a robot.
Yeah. Huh.
Isn't that
Well, and
weird?
then I was watching Big Mouth recently,
Oh,
and there's
Big Mouth.
two characters that were like famous people before. It was like Kat Dennings, and now it's voiced by Chloe Fineman, who's on SNL, but sounds identical. Like I was just like, oh yeah, which character is Kat Dennings? You know, like trying to figure it out, and I was like, wait a second, but they like replaced them, but you couldn't tell. So you
Right.
could do that. I mean, yeah, somebody could
Or just
just sound like you.
impersonators.
Yeah, like I don't know. I guess nobody. Maybe it's we're giving bad ideas to people who could could mess us up. Okay, thank you so much for being on.
Yeah.
Where can people find you and listen to your podcast and all
Yeah.
that stuff?
So it's called the NAST Podcast, NAST Podcast. It's on all streaming services and platforms, including YouTube. And then I use Instagram the most, so that's NAST podcast. And then my personal Instagram is Blake Nast, Blake NAST again. And I have a website, thenastpodcast.com. Everything's just NAST Podcast.
Yeah, that's pretty easy. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, check it out. If you're already on YouTube, you just click subscribe here, then head on over, find the NAST Podcast. You're already there. And then, you're on all the other stuff. Subscribe, like, what do you do? Rate, review, those things.
Comment.
But right now, you can just keep watching Dumb Pitches.
You're weird.
Yes.